Hi, Maya. Hi, Emma. Thanks for joining me today. I thought we could get together because you're our student reps on the school board, and we could talk about this upcoming levy. I understand you have a couple of questions, and I thought, this would be a great chance for us to talk about that from a student perspective. And but before we do that, we're talking right now, but we'll share this video in the future. And just so people know who you are a little bit more, could you introduce yourselves or reintroduce yourselves and, tell me what school you're at, what grade you're in?
Yeah, I'll go first. Hi, I'm Emma Lanegan. I am an 11th, 12th grader at Crossroads High School. I played softball for a few years in high school. I absolutely love and adore Crossroads. And yeah, I'm 17. I drove a cute little Volkswagen Beetle. Probably see me around town. And yeah.
All right. Thanks, Emma. And Maya?
I'm Miah Manibusan, and I'm a 12th grader at Granite Falls High School. And I played soccer all my 4 years being there, and that was awesome. I got to be the captain of the soccer team, so that was pretty cool. And yeah.
All right. Well, excellent. And again, I just want to thank you not only for this time where we can talk, but also for your work on the school board, because a student's voice, you represent the student voices on the school board. And I know it takes time away from other things that you like to do, but it's really an important thing for students to have that voice. So thank you. So, okay, let's talk about the levy. And I think, Emma, you might have the first question.
Yeah, I keep hearing about this upcoming levy election. What's that all about?
We do have a levy election coming. In fact, today, and today is January 21st, ballots are in mailboxes across our district, and actually most of the schools in Snohomish County are running a levy. And in our case, we're running two levies. And so levies are where our local voters decide to support our schools with financially where the state falls short. And so every 4 years, a levy occurs, and this isn't anything new. This is a replacement levy. So replacement dollars from when one ends, it starts up again. And they're in two categories. One is in educational programs, so textbooks and teachers and extracurricular activities, that sort of thing. And then the other one is a capital fund or a tech levy and facility levy, and that's also for 4 years. And so that's what people will be voting on between now and February 8th.
All right.
How do these schools even get funded?
That's a great question because, I just talked a little bit about levies, but here's how schools basically get funded. We have about 2,100 students in our district, and each student, we receive X number of dollars, and those dollars come from typically three sources. One from the state of Washington, and that's about 2/3 of the funding. And then about 13% comes from the levies, which we're talking about right now. And then the remainder comes from other sources, federal government, and grants that flow through that way. So it comes from a few different sources, but the majority is from the state of Washington. But again, there's oftentimes a gap between what they fund and what our expenses are. And so that's when districts go to their local residents and say, could you help us shore up some of those expenses? And I can give you some examples in just a minute, but let's just talk a minute for one example is the tech levy. And let's go back to last year. Were either of you, well, both of you were doing remote learning and maybe even some hybrid learning. Did either of you use a Chromebook from the school district?
I did.
You did, and Maya, did you use one or did you have your own computer?
No, I had my own computer.
Okay, and see, that's a great point on a couple of fronts. One, we wanted all students to have access, and for those who didn't have a computer, we provided one, and that came out of that levy, that tech levy, so that we could support students. And of course, as you know, technology is used everywhere all the time, and so it's really important for us to have really up-to-date technology, not only for students, but also for our teachers. So, yeah, absolutely. Tell me about what's a favorite class that you have or a favorite activity that you participate in?
For me, I loved playing softball, something I enjoyed, and my favorite class right now would probably be Algebra 2.
Okay, and Maya?
My favorite activity was soccer, and like doing that was really fun. But my favorite class right now would probably be leadership.
Okay, great. And so I ask you that because one, for extracurricular activities, again, that's something that the state doesn't necessarily fund, but we rely on local taxpayers to support the levies. And again, it's not a new levy or tax, but it's a replacement one. I want to give a couple of examples of how the levies are also used. Think about COVID right now, and do both of you know at least one nurse within the district within the last 2 years? Have you talked to or worked with a school nurse or health attendant?
Yes.
Right. And so I bring that up because the state of Washington, they fund 0.2 of one position of one nurse. But you know what? We have 5 nurses. And think about COVID and how much we rely on our nurses right now, yet we're not even funded for an entire nurse, let alone 5 of them from the state. And so we rely on our local levies to help pay for something like that. And how about school counselors? We have 2 at the high school, 1 at Crossroads, and 1 at all the other schools. The state only allocates funding for 3 counselors. So can you imagine doing away with half of the counselors that we have, especially again during these times? No, not at all. And so I could go through the whole list of different positions, and we're only funded for a fraction. And so that's why levies are so important. And we appreciate the Brandon Falls community and how they've supported us in that. Another question for you is, let's see, do you have some old textbooks or no textbooks at all?
Yes.
Tell me about those.
I've seen some textbooks that are older than I am. I'm 17, so I feel like that's fairly old.
How about you, Maya?
Yeah, we have, in my vet science class, we have textbooks that just are like torn up and just so old.
They're probably pretty dated. So I want to go back to your question of, why these levies? Well, this time in our education and program levy, we're setting aside $500,000 every year just for new textbooks. And so I know both of you will be leaving Granite Falls and graduating and moving on, but think about all the younger students that are coming up and what a benefit that will be when we can spend $500,000 on textbooks. And of course, $500,000 you might think is a lot of money, but that really will only buy one academic area per year. So right now we're working on a math adoption, and next year it might be language arts, it might be science, but there are about 5 or 6 areas that will rotate now. But that's something we haven't been able to do before. And so again, excited for voters to have that opportunity to show some support on that. Okay, what other questions do you have?
I have one more question, and my question is, do you think the levy will pass?
Do I think the levy will pass? And Maya, do you have a related question?
Yeah. You said the levy is for 4 years. What happens after the 4 years is up?
Okay, so two very interchangeable or two related questions of they're for 4 years and what happens after the 4 years, and then do I think it'll pass? So yes, it is. We have to go to the voters every 4 years, and so right now we have, again, that's a replacement levy. So we have dollars coming in now, and now the 4 years is about up, and so we're going back to the voters right now, and that'll be good for another 4 years, and then in 2026 we'll go back to the voters and asked for support. But the big question that you also asked was, will this pass? And Granite Falls has been extremely supportive of our schools, and so of course this goes to them as for their vote. And so I'm really looking forward to February 8th when the votes are tallied, and I feel pretty confident that the community will continue to support us, and continue to provide great opportunities for our students. So let's see. I think that might wrap up all of the questions that you had asked or you were thinking about. I do want to thank you again, and I didn't know if you had any last-minute questions you wanted to ask or anything else on your mind, but I do appreciate, again, your service on the board. Okay, well, I hope that helps answer some of the questions you have, and for anyone else who will be watching the video. And again, thank you for giving some time today to ask the questions I think a lot of people have on their mind, and that they will be answered. And of course, for anyone watching, if they do have additional questions, they can go to our website, and we have a lot of information on our upcoming levy. In the meantime, they can be looking for their voter information pamphlet that should have arrived in their mailboxes yesterday, and their ballots that should be here today or tomorrow. So again, just looking forward to February 8th and the election results. Maya and Emma, thank you again, and we'll see you at the next board meeting.
I'll see ya. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.